Hey member, this is Crystal B, and I am back again to talk to you about the full moon, September's full moon, which is actually going to be highlighting the sign of Aries. And even though now we are past the Libra equinox, meaning that the sun is nestled inside of the sign of Libra, the moon is going to be in the sign of Aries. And Aries is actually Libra's opposite. They, see the world differently. They operate on two different planes, but ultimately they do need each other in order to balance each other out. Interestingly enough, if you have a lot of Aries, you probably need some Libra energy to balance you, and vice versa. If you have a lot of Libra energy, you probably need a lot of Aries to help balance you out. But in thinking about the full moon that's going to be taking place in September, and just so you have an exact date, I'm just looking at all my notes. It's actually going to be taking place on September 24th. And the time frame we're looking at is 10:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7:52 p.m. Pacific Time. So what I want to say about the full moon, this month's full moon, the September full moon, is that we're going to have the sun in Libra and we're going to have the moon in Aries. And they're going to be creating a kind of, it's an argument in a way because they're against each other. It's like a standoff. And Aries is going to want what he wants, and Libra is going to want what she wants. Actually, they're two male-oriented signs, but aside from that, there's an argument going on, let's say, and that actually happens every month in two different signs. A lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people always think that the full moon is happening in the sign that the sun is in, but it's the sign that the moon is in. So we have this argument going on between Aries and Libra. And what does that mean? Well, in our lives, it's an argument between me, what I want, which is Aries, and what is best for we, which is what Libra wants, because Libra is all about the partnership and Aries is all about the individual. And that's kind of a tough argument, right? Like, I want what I want, but what is good for both of us together? And some compromises need to come into play. And this is always the case whenever we have, an argument between a very individual sign versus a very collaborative or partnership type of sign. Now, to make things a tad more challenging, at the peak of this full moon, there's actually going to be a few different planetary players that are creating a little bit more emotion, adding a little bit more emotion into the mix. And not only just emotion, but, different kinds of awareness and different kinds of things that are going to be bubbling to the surface. First of all, we've got Chiron. And Chiron is actually not a planet. He is an asteroid. And he is going to be so close with the moon at this time. And something that I don't know if you realize, but Chiron in April transitioned into the sign of Aries. And that's created a very new playing field in regards to our wounds and what we're fighting for. I kind of want you to really check out what I wrote about Chiron in Aries, because I think it would be beneficial, especially if you feel, like there's a lot of emotions around you. You might be really around the source of this full moon, the September full moon, because you might be really dealing with that Chiron energy, the wounded healer, because ultimately he wants to heal. So Chiron has a lot to say because he's touching the moon. And the other thing, and I'm just looking at the planetary picture as I talk to you, the other thing is that the moon, again, opposing the sun, is going to be working in a rather challenging way with Mercury, the planet of communications, and Saturn. So they're actually going to be operating in what's called a T-square. It's a T, because you've got they're driving each other, and they're not getting along. Somebody's not gonna walk away happy. But what's, rather than think about, that it's not the greatest terrain, because it's not, I have to be totally honest. What we need to know is how we can create the solution. And the solution is using what those planets are telling us, especially in that T square, because that's going to be the most noticeable to us. Mercury wants us to talk it out, and Mercury is in Libra, the talk it out sign. So even more emphasis for us to talk it out. And there's going to be Saturn there in the picture, also kind of, making it hard, because not everybody likes to talk it out. I'm sure if you really want to be honest, communicating is not that easy. Some of us want to communicate a lot, and we're dealing with people who don't want to communicate, or some of us don't want to communicate at all, and we're dealing with people who want to communicate a lot. And it's really hard to find the balance. But I think that there's something in play here that's really going to be forcing us to try to communicate and try to find that balance as to where we can, kind of own up to what we need to do, honor the Aries, the me, and what is it that we need to honor in the collaboration or the partnership, and honoring the Libra side to things. Now, to add a few more twists, there could be kind of a head-to-head with somebody older in this situation, in this moon picture, in this full moon picture. And the reason I say that is because with Saturn being such a heavy player, Saturn tends to represent older, or elders, or people who are wiser than us or older than us. So there may be some sort of showdown with a parental unit, or potentially somebody older than us, a boss maybe, somebody we look up to, or somebody of authority. Saturn can be an authoritative figure as well. So that's something to keep your eye on. It's also important to know where this full moon is happening in your chart. And I've showcased that go to your main September horoscope page, and you'll see the themes that are coming out, because wherever those themes are is where you're going to be kind of resonating on the me versus the we. And those can fall in many different areas of our life. It all depends on our astrology. Some other things to just give us a little bit of confidence, or a little bit more boosting, is that there will be some support coming from Mars, who's now back in Aquarius. And what does Aquarius like to do? Think outside the box. So I think that where you come up with your communicative solutions, or what you need to communicate, is going to probably involve you thinking outside the box, going outside the norm of what you would usually do, being different, because that's what Aquarius loves to do. The other thing is that Mars is going to be giving you some courage to do what you need to do, or say what you need to say, stand up for yourself. And I really think that Mars is such an important player here, because he's, definitely newly out of his retrograde. We're a few weeks out, thank goodness. But now he's back in some territory where he wasn't behaving way back a few months ago when he was going retrograde. But now he's free. He's not cloaked by the retro. And there's a better ability for us not to need to be passive aggressive. There's a better ability for us to just get out and say what we want to say, and kind of take our fuel, our energy to get things out and direct it where we need to. So I really want you to think about that when you think about what's going on around you at this full moon. Where's your me and where's your we, and how are you going to find that balance? Because some balance needs to play out, and a decision will probably come about as well. So if you feel a stir building around the the time of the season shifting, which is the Libra equinox, which is on the 22nd. Things will come to a head on the 24th, which is the point of the full moon. And it is a really important one just because there's so much driving energy, decisions will need to be made. But at the end of the day, it's trying to find a way to incorporate yourself in whatever partnership or collaboration is around you. And your voice will need to be heard, but you also need to recognize the benefits of the partnership or the benefits of, what's going on, the we. And it's very easy to negate or neglect or forget either one of those sides. So this full moon is kind of putting a blaring light, because that's what full moons do. They turn the lights on into this area, this kind of emphasis in some theme in our life. Again, check out your main horoscope page, and hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.